Hi, I'm Glenn Rogers, and this is American Perspectives. Today, this video is going to be about the founding principles of America. Or if you turn it around, you could say the principles America was founded on. Either way. But what I want to do is talk about what those principles and ideas and values were, and then ask the question, are they still relevant today? Do we need them in America today if we want America to be strong and vibrant in the world, as it always has been in the past? But before we get into that, I want to take a moment and ask you to subscribe to our channel. It'd be really helpful to us if you would do that. It doesn't cost you anything. Nobody will bother you. It just tells YouTube that you like the content here. And so if you can, help us out and do that. Okay, so what are the principles upon which America was founded? Well, one of the basic ideas was that all people are created by God as equals. Now, right off the bat, some people would say, yeah, but not everybody believes in God. So, you know, one of the foundational ideas kind of goes out the window, doesn't it? Well, sad but true, yeah, it is. Most of the people in early America did believe in God. Most of them were Christians, though not all, but most of them were. And most of them believed that God created people in his image, and because that is the case, that all people were equal. And since that was the case, people enjoyed what we usually refer to as God-given rights. And if you thought about it at all, or if you listened to people talk about it at all, you've heard that phrase, God-given rights. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means the rights we have because God created us as a certain kind of a being. And it's very important then that we acknowledge the rights we have because of the kind of people that we are, human beings created by God and all equal. Well, what do those things include? Well, when you start looking at the founding documents of America, like the Declaration of Independence and others, one of the phrases that you encounter quickly is this idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think that they intended that to be something of an umbrella statement that was kind of meant to represent all the rest of the ideas involved in what it means, or the ideas that people had and valued at that time. So what were some of those ideas? Well, we're just going to go through a lengthy list of some of those, and I might talk and stop and talk about one of them a little bit. But pretty much I just want to go through the list and mention them. Things like freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom of redress of grievances. Now, if you know much about the founding documents, you realize that those things I just listed were basically the First Amendment. Those are the things that are listed in the First Amendment. In the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights, it talks about the right to keep and bear arms. Okay, so in the founding documents, the founding fathers included a bunch of ideas that were very, very basic rights that people have because we're human beings created in the image of God. We're all equals, and these things simply must be the case. Now, I'm not going to go through, the entire Bill of Rights and talk about all of those things, but I just wanted to start with those few things. But what are some of the other ideas and values that the people of early America had that we can talk about and think about in terms of things that we value today in America? Well, one of them, and I think this is a huge one for the time and place where America was founded, the late 1600s, early 1700s, was the idea of self-reliance. These people couldn't look to a government structure or government agency or anything to take care of them or help them. They basically came here and got off the boat and went and found some land and had to make a living, had to take care of themselves. They were very self-reliant people. And that turned out to be extremely important over the decades, many decades, couple hundred years, even into the 1800s, when land was available in the middle of the country. People were moving from the East Coast across the western portion of the country, and land was available for free in many cases. And when they went, they were still pretty much on their own, and so they had to be self-reliant. They were also, and they valued self-determination. They made up their own minds to do what they did. They had free will, and they followed that. They made choices, and then they were responsible for the choices they made. They valued individualism. It's great to have, you know, a family and maybe have a group of people that you enjoy being with, but in the end, it ends up being just you, an individual who has to decide for himself or herself what is right, what they're going to do, and that sort of thing. And the early Americans valued individualism. They valued personal initiative. It's up to me to get this done. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And that was very important. And along with that comes personal responsibility. When you decide to do something or not to do something, whatever your decision is, you're responsible for the choice you make. And so people understood that. They valued the pursuit of excellence. I remember many years ago when my oldest son was just starting school, the motto of the school was painted in letters across the front of the school. And it said, "We reject the prospect of mediocrity. Our destiny is to excel." I've never forgotten that. Don't think I ever will. And I thought it was interesting because I don't think the children who went to school there had a clue what that meant. That was way above their ability to understand. But I understood it, and I really liked the idea. And I think people who achieve great things are people who believe in the pursuit of excellence. And make no mistake about it, the early settlers of America believed in the pursuit of excellence. They worked hard to do things well. And there were several generations of people who built this country and made it great. And they did so by the pursuit of excellence. They valued the right to own personal property. That was very important to them. And they valued the right to profit from one's labor. If I'm the one putting in the hard work, the hours, the sweat, you know, and getting this done, then I have a right to profit from that. They valued economic freedom. They valued religious faith. They valued moral absolutes. They understood that there were some things that are just always right. And no matter the circumstances, they're never wrong. They're always right. And then there are other things that are just always wrong. And they can never be right. No matter what the circumstances, they can never be right. They're always wrong. See, those are moral absolutes. Now, either list of always right or always wrong may not be a very long list, but there's some stuff on there. And they believed in that, and they valued it, and it determined to a great deal how they lived their lives. They valued hard work. They valued honesty. They valued helpfulness, truthfulness, endurance, self-discipline, creativity, and industry. And there's probably a lot of other things as well, but these are just some of the ideas and values that were basic, fundamental, and foundational ideas for the people who early on came to America. So the question is, are these kinds of things still relevant today? You bet they are. Do we still need them in order to be America? Yes, I think we do. America became a great country because Americans were great people. Now, they weren't perfect. I'm not claiming that. Okay, there are no perfect people. Every human being is a flawed person. We're all capable of having goofy ideas and making mistakes and doing things that are hurtful and unfortunate. We're all that way. And the people who came to America were just as flawed and just as imperfect as we are today. Did all of the people who helped establish America have all of the traits that I listed there? No, I'm pretty sure they didn't. But I think many of them did. And I would suggest even that most of them had a good many of those traits and values, and that was part of what enabled them to make America great. Now, I'm not saying, again, that they were perfect people. They had some problems, okay, just the same as we do today. They weren't perfect, and our nation wasn't perfect. But when we talk about America being great, when we talk about America being exceptional, we're not talking about perfection, okay, because there is no perfect society, because there are no perfect people. And the people then, 150, 200, 250, 300 years ago, they had some ideas that we today think were not good ideas, okay? But here's one of the things you have to understand, okay? You can't take what we believe today, what we think is right and good, and what we think is wrong and bad, and take that and project it back 300 years ago and say, well, see, those people thought that this particular thing was wrong, and they thought this particular thing was right. Well, that's just terrible. They were bad people. Well, see, you can't do that. People are a product of their time and place. And if there were people back in that time that had a given idea, and they thought this was okay, or they had a different given idea and they thought this was not okay, they were a product of their time and place. Guess what? If you lived then, you would believe the same thing they believed, and you would do the same things that they did. You see, why do you believe what you believe today? Because you're a product of your time and place. Now, some people don't like to think in those terms. They like to think, well, no. I think about things. I make up my own mind. I'm sorry, but that's mistaken. It doesn't work that way. You are, to a large extent, a product of your time and place. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't think about things. Of course you do. Doesn't mean that you don't make up your own mind about things. Of course you do. But you think about the things you think about, the way you think about them, because you're a product of your time and place. And if you lived 300 years ago or 200 years ago, you would not think the way you think now. You would think that way, okay? So what some people do today, they look at what our values are today and what we think is right and wrong, and they go back 150, 250, 300 years ago and say, oh, see, that's bad. Those were bad people. No, it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. You see? And there will still be people 200, 300, 400, 500 years in the future who don't get that, and they'll look back on us and they'll think, man, those were bad people. But see, we don't think we're bad people. We think we're pretty good people. Well, see, you have to take people within their context and understand them on the basis of that time and place, and cut them a little slack. Okay, they think differently than you. Doesn't mean they were bad. Doesn't mean they were stupid. Doesn't mean they were ugly. It means this is the way people thought about things in that time and place. And so you have to understand that. The people who made America an exceptional nation had exceptional ideas and values, and they brought them with them from wherever they came from. Many of them came from Europe, and they brought those ideas and values with them. They were exceptional people, and they made America an exceptional place. They lived and worked in the face of challenging hardships and overwhelming odds, and they overcame those, and they built the most powerful nation on earth in less time than any previous world power had taken to achieve that status. You see, compare America and Rome, okay? It took Rome longer to become the dominant world power that they became than it took America to do that. You see, we did it faster than anybody else. How come? How'd we do that? Because of the ideas and values that people brought with them that they were allowed to enact here, that America was built on, and there were no governments in Europe or anyplace else that had all of those ideas incorporated into their founding. You see, and that's why America was able to do the things that it did. Now, here's the thing we need to think about. For us to hang on to our greatness, those same ideas and values are absolutely essential today. But how many people today, especially how many young people, have embraced those ideas and values? To me, it doesn't seem like very many of them have. And maybe that's something we need to think about. That's my presentation for the day. I hope you found it interesting, helpful, perhaps. If you did, maybe click the thumbs up down below. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. That would be really helpful to us. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll watch more of our videos.